If you're a business owner who's curious about AI agents, this is a great episode for you. I had a chat with Gabriele Sanguigno from Toothfairy AI, and they're a company that have been around for quite a while and really leading the way in terms of offering agents for businesses and enterprises. And in this interview, Gab explains exactly what an autonomous agent is, how it's different from a typical ChatGPT chatbot experience, and really gives some practical advice for businesses who are looking to get into this space on where to start, what the options are, and importantly, some of the things to be aware of that are tripping other businesses up so you don't make the same mistakes. There's a lot of really good information in here about agents and how to implement them. So I hope you enjoy this interview with Gabriele Sanguigno from toothfairyai.com. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to My Way or the AI Way. I'm Scott Davison and today's guest is Gabriele Sanguigno, who is the CEO and founder of Toothfairy AI. Gabrielle, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Scott, for having me here. Excited to talk about AI with you today.
Me too. I mean, I first heard about Toothfairy. One of the very first episodes I did on this podcast, I was interviewing Steve Nuttall from Fifth Quadrant, and he was talking about, Steve, he was talking about some of the sort of cool Australian startups that were sort of leading the way in AI, and he mentioned Toothfairy. So I've been following you since then, and yeah, it's true. You guys are definitely doing some really cool stuff, and you're a bit of a thought leader. So it's great to have you on the show. I've been looking forward to this. Maybe for those who aren't aware, can you just give a quick overview of your background and also Toothfairy and what Toothfairy do?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Gab. And I'm a mechanical engineer by training. I've been studying mechanical engineering, obviously, here overseas. I'm Italian, so I'll disclose that right now. Then after engineering, I've decided to specialize myself in AI. So that was back in 2016. In 2017, the Transformer paper came out. And then from then, my interest in AI skyrocketed. On the very same year, I founded my first AI company, Afloat. And then after 2 years, I founded Toothfairy AI. So that tells you that Toothfairy AI is not necessarily a startup anymore. We've been around for 6 years. And naturally, obviously, things have evolved in 6 years. So we started from natural language processing to then go into Agentic AI, which is our latest kind of innovation. And also, we have kept from the very beginning the very same vision, which I'm very proud of, which is also what Toothfairy AI is. So Toothfairy AI is an enterprise AI application that allows any organization to create their own AI agents and AI models privately. And we kept the same vision throughout. So that's actually a good thing, I believe.
Yeah, no, that's great. So you've been at it a long while, well before ChatGPT even appeared. So you've got a lot of history there, which is great. Now, when I told my kids I was interviewing the Toothfairy, they were very excited about that. But I have to ask where that name comes from, because it's quite a distinctive name. So what's behind the name?
I mean, I got to be honest, I need to come up with a better explanation. But the real thing is that Toothfairy AI was a joke. So we thought, okay, when we looked at Transformers, we thought that it was all very magical. And essentially, we said, okay, let's come up with a code name for this new thing that we wanted to do, which was a simple Q&A, a question and answering bot. Okay. Yep. And we thought, okay, let's give it something magical. And then we came up with some name and we came up with Toothfairy AI. Knowing that anyway, we would have been probably mistaken by some people because of the dentistry connection, I guess, like, probably something that LK might have been using. In fact, I think that even if you ask ChatGPT, it will tell you that probably that's what we do. Surgical AI for teeth interventions and stuff like that. But obviously, that's not the case.
No, I like it. Started as a joke, but you've ran with it. And many good business names have started that way. So, yeah, I love that you're owning it. Now, let's start at a high level, I guess. For those sort of new to this, what is an autonomous agent? How would you explain an autonomous agent at a high level, and how's it different from just a regular, ChatGPT agent that most people are using?
Yeah, so that's actually a very interesting question, because even in the last event that I had in Dubai, they asked a lot this question. So essentially, to me, my definition of AI agent, and then I can talk about autonomy, but Let's first settle the foundation layer, saying, okay, what is an AI agent? An AI agent is an entity, a digital entity that accomplishes tasks rather than answering questions. And this is where already, to me, this is a very simple definition that everybody can understand. Obviously, I can go much more technical, but let's keep it very easy for everybody. Essentially, whenever you are dealing with, again, an entity, which could be a platform, which could be an API or anything along these lines, that accomplishes a task on your behalf, that's when we talk about agents. When instead you talk to ChatGPT, in the simplest form, you are looking just at people call it a chatbot. I would call it an LLM, so a large language model, okay? Or a set of large language models in the case of ChatGPT 5, because they have a routing system that decides based on your question, which model to choose from in a pool of models that are associated with complexity of questions. Okay, so that's the definition of an AI agent. On top, there is the autonomy part. And the autonomy part comes from, again, in my eyes, the idea of the agent reacting to context, similar to a human being. Essentially, the agent could react to an email that has been sent to an email address, to an SMS, to a ticket that has been created in your ticketing system, to a quote that has been created in your CRM, or a person that drops a message. Essentially reacting to an event similar to what a human being would, knowing really well that AI agents are still far from, even in the autonomy version, they're still far away from the sense of initiative that a human being can have and learning. So that means that I like to make the distinction that I'm talking about autonomous agent, but at the same time, I'm not saying we are there yet to replace human beings through autonomous agents.
Yep, yep.
So
No,
that's my
that makes a
definition.
lot of sense. Yeah, no, it's a good definition. It makes a lot of sense. So people who've been using ChatGPT or other LLMs for a while, it's really about asking a question and getting an answer. Even if that answer is, write me some copy or generate an image for me, it's still just, a question and answer scenario. What you're
Correct.
talking about, once you're giving it a task, it then becomes an agent, and then there's different levels of autonomy that you can give it. So say for a business thinking about where to start with agents, what are the different options? Like last week's episode, I sort of went in and started playing around with N8N and building my own automated workflow. I see that ChatGPT now sort of offers agent mode,
Uh,
but then there's companies like you who provide, pre-built ones. So what are the high level options in terms of how you could implement agents in a business?
okay, so I'll say that if you're looking at N8N, you're already not looking at agents. You're looking at AI workflows or AI powered workflows or AI enhanced workflows. So just to give you an understanding, for example, N8N existed long ago, way before AI was a thing. And for a good reason, because they actually developed a very good workflow builder. And that stays valuable in a lot of enterprise applications, in my opinion. And it does appear to be enhanced by AI in several ways. And that's not an agentic platform. That's a workflow enhanced by AI. That's what N8N is. And again, the easiest way to describe when to use N8N, when you have a workflow or a script of tasks that needs to be executed always the same way, and you are willing to embrace the pain of scripting everything yourself, or to a good degree, scripting exactly each step that needs to be executed by the quote unquote automation flow every single time, then N8N is a good choice. It's relatively easy to use. It allows you to drag and drop things. And there is plenty of tutorials online that describe it to you at every level how to use N8N. So that's N8N. That's when I would be using it. Scripted, repeatable tasks, not too varied, so that you don't have the complexity of managing 10,000 flows in N8N, which is unsustainable.
Uh-huh.
I would be using, ChatGPT, quite frankly, it's going down recently because of the quality of the models and also the quality of the direction that the company in general has taken. I don't like to bash companies, but the reason why I'm saying this, that I wouldn't be looking just at ChatGPT. I would be looking at all the competitors that are in that category, which would be the Gemini, the Anthropic, Claude, and ChatGPT together. So I would bundle them up, depending on your choice. Those are the kind of providers that you would be normally using for individual use cases. And by individual use cases, I mean, you are a professional which doesn't have necessarily all the compliance and the regulations to abide by, and also the budget, to be honest, to actually just leverage AI for your own individual use case. And also, put it this way, you are not really driven by compliance and structure when using AI, because as an individual, you get to make your own choices, if you know what I mean. That already tells you that there is a gap in what I've said, which is basically the ability to scale a solution at enterprise level in a private and fine-tuned and customized fashion, which is obviously extremely valuable for enterprises. And secondly, something that is agentic and it's not a workflow. So, and this is literally how, even when we pitch Toothfairy, we show it on a Gartner chart. So essentially, companies obviously do not want to take the burden of having to script all their flows, because maybe in your case there are 5 or 10, but in their cases you were talking about 1,000. And that's unsustainable. You can't script that. So you need to have something that makes decisions on the fly. This is the agentic axis. And then you have also the need of making it enterprise ready, which means private, customizable. You can host it yourself. You can go to a bank and present this product without concerns of data privacy and regulation breaches. And that's the X axis, which is on the privacy and customization piece. This is how we place ourselves compared to the competitors. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. But do you have, so Toothfairy offer sort of pre-built agents that businesses can just plug in and customize, or are you creating custom agents for each new client?
So Toothfairy AI is an AI platform. Sometimes people call us an AI studio. So we do offer 80 pre-built agents, which are basically blueprints of the agents that you could build. But by all means, you can create as many agents as you like, and you can customize them. And some people, again, use the word hack, because we give a significant range of features that other providers don't offer, because we are fundamentally a very transparent and open source based platform. So we have no need of keeping secrets or gating the experience. So to give you an idea, in Toothfairy AI, you can choose from 25 different AI models, and you can get to create your own recipe, even fine tuning the AI models yourself. So
Yep.
which means that you not only you create your own AI agents, which is one thing, but you can also create your own AI models. And for enterprises, this is obviously, again, invaluable, because the reason why you go in ChatGPT and sometimes you have the feeling that the agent is not really responding exactly the way you want it, you always feel like the LLM, the chatbot, lacks of context. So it feels like it's completely, I mean, people use the word even stateless, right? Seems like it just woke up right now and doesn't understand exactly what you're talking about. That is the kind of stuff that you can bypass or kind of avoid by creating your own AI model. And in Toothfairy, we allow you to do that. So
Yep.
you could call us more like an AI studio, if you
Yeah.
will.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's a use case I was talking with a client about the other day. He wanted to create something exactly like that, like a model based just on their internal knowledge
Yeah,
base, which was their
correct.
IP.
Yeah.
So that's one use case, I guess, where you're doing that. To give us a bit of an idea of those 80 pre-built ones you use, what are some of the most popular, common agents or use cases that businesses are using?
Yeah, there are two. We know because we track how many
Yep.
times an ID has been used as blueprint. So one is customer service, a customer service officer. Basically, the ability for an agent to address requests from customers or inquiries and then take an action based on that question or inquiry or complaint. That is extremely common. I would say that even this is a qualitative measure. Every single enterprise I talk to that even wants to go custom down the line has one use case like that, which is very interesting. The second one is the internal analyst. That's how it's called in Toothfairy. Call it the way you like it, like a business expert, essentially a RAG agent that can use all the knowledge uploaded into what we call the Knowledge Hub, which is basically a RAG pipeline that allows you to upload PDFs, docx, PowerPoints, and things like that. And then is able to produce answers that all the business can use to make decisions. These, by far, are the two most common agents that we see used. And even when customers, in the end, fine-tune models, they still use this kind of solution. Again, thing that few people know, at least in the public, is that you can fine-tune a model. So you can change the way the model behaves. And on top, you can still put RAG, which means that you can then still feed them new documents, which is a very powerful combination, in my opinion, because you don't fine tune every time. You don't change the model every day. You change a document. So it's good that you can intersect the two things. You can do the fine tuning once, maybe 3 months before, and then upload new documents throughout and still have a good behavior in terms of being able to give the agent fresh data and get fresh insights.
Okay. Yeah, no, that brings it to life. So from a business perspective, they would take one of those, for example. They take the customer service agent and effectively plug that into their business so that it's the model becomes more like, I guess, their business, their tone of voice, et cetera, and then it's plugging into their knowledge base of all the user guides or customer help or past support
Correct.
queries or best practices. So that, I guess that means there's zero chance of hallucinations, right? It's only doing answers based on what's in your knowledge base, and it's doing it in your tone of voice.
In the most cases, yes. I mean, again, I'm not trying to hype the technology. Hallucinations are always around the corner,
Okay.
but they are significantly reduced. I've seen very few cases where customers, because I check also the inquiries that we get from customers saying, hey, something doesn't work. Once you put in place these two things, so fine-tuning the model and providing good knowledge and what we say internally vectorize, so essentially you create your own graph of knowledge through these documents, okay? It's like the agent has a mind map in front of him and then decides what to use or which node to use of this graph. Once you put these things in place, it is quite unlikely that the agent responds in an hallucinated way, although hallucination, again, is a term that should be explored a bit better, but essentially it might say the wrong thing.
Yep.
It can still happen, but you have a lot of tools to, even when that happens. So let's say that the agent does hallucinate with one of your customers. We provide a series of tools to then correct the behavior of that agent when that hallucination happens. We call it feedback loop, but essentially the agent learns from the mistake.
Yep.
Obviously, that is a human in the loop process. Okay, so the human can still check.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I guess that's one of the ways to think about agents is it's a bit like a new employee, right? You still need to continue to train it, provide feedback, and it'll improve over time. It's not a set and forget necessarily. So I like those two examples you've given, the customer service agent and the analyst agent. Is there one other one, maybe an up and coming one or something you think might be popular down the track? Just to give us an idea of what else an agent could be used for in a typical business.
There is one that has become extremely popular recently. In fact, I think Steve Nuttall, by the way, saw one of the first versions of that. So essentially, we call it agentic tooling, which is essentially the ability for an agent not only to use, again, I'll try not to be technical, okay? Not only to use a variety of tools, okay?
Yeah.
So which could be internet search, could be internal knowledge base, could be code execution, which is the way you run code to automate things. We have over 12 tools. I'm not going to list them all. But essentially with agentic tooling, when you give an agent, again, a task, that task might require a multi-step process. And the way I always explain it is, imagine that I give you a long tail tasks, which could be, I need a research paper on how Australia is adopting AI. And what are the challenges of the B2B market? In that case, your answer most likely is not going to be, even in your head, one shot answer. Why? Because most likely you're going to say, okay, let me do first some research on the internet to find the information that I need. Then let me create a draft of that research. Then let me compare it with some internal knowledge that I have. Then let me review it with another person. And only at that point, maybe I need to create a PowerPoint. So I've just explained 5 steps. Normally, this would require a human being to trigger these 5 steps. Call it with prompts or even with different tools if you want, like with different platforms. Agentic tooling actually does that on its own dynamically. So the agent creates its own task list, and you literally see it on the platform. And then the agent, one by one, ticks the different tasks. And essentially, this is fully autonomous, unscripted. And what we're seeing with customers is they absolutely love it, because one thing that obviously we couldn't know is that many people actually use agents to generate content or generate analysis and reports. But then down the line within businesses, what you end up doing in many cases is you create the document, let's say an Excel spreadsheet or a PowerPoint or a document, and then you share it by email. Now, our customers do that with agentic tooling automatically, because the agent does have access to emails and the agent can create documents. And this is something that I'm honestly quite impressed by. The functionality, even while being in beta, was the most adopted functionality we have had in Toothfairy.
Yep.
Which is impressive, because even though they knew that it was a beta feature and it had bugs at the beginning, that sort of multi-step automation was very useful for enterprises. And right now it's the most popular feature we have. So
Okay.
uh,
Yep.
it
Yeah.
clearly
So
hit the spot.
I can see how that one would work. So you could basically have an agent that does the job of someone who had to every week do research, generate a weekly report, and send it out to the team. You could have that whole task automated from start to finish using multi-tool agents. And there's loads of tasks like that. I mean, so, and for large enterprise, especially because you multiply that across thousands of employees, then the business case soon adds up. But say for a smaller business, where would be a good place to start, do you think, in terms of thinking about where to use agents within a small, owner-run type business?
When we talk to small businesses, I talk about this concept of the hybrid workforce, which I can explore. Essentially, all businesses, in my opinion, have a massive opportunity right now to build their own company AI first. And by talking small businesses, I mean businesses with less than 20 employees. Right here, I'm talking really small. Imagine, for example, that whenever you think about a task that needs to be accomplished in your head, I always think, and even Toothfairy behaves that way, we are less than 20 people running the business. Can this task be somewhat executed by an agent with the oversight of a human being? If the answer is yes, then that is a task that should be done by an agent. I'll give you some examples that we use internally. We don't have a marketing team. We don't have designers. We only have a CMO. And then all the tasks related to LinkedIn posts, blog posts, newsletters, communications, release notes. And obviously for a platform like ourselves, there is a lot that needs to be communicated. It's all done by our agents. Obviously, we don't have an HR department. At the same time, no offense for HR, I find relatively pointless to have an HR department for most tasks, especially if you ask me, okay, what are the policies of employment? I don't see why that kind of answer should be given by a person. It can just be given by an agent with the oversight of a human being. We don't have a BI department either. We generate the reports with an agent asking for a prompt and generating the reports from Stripe. So this is kind of like a silver line to me that can be used everywhere. Whenever you have something that could be even partially automated, there is opportunity, because other businesses would move relatively slowly in this direction because they have internal politics, they have ways of doing things, while instead an SMB can move much quicker and they can be AI first. And that's why I call it the hybrid workforce. So human being and AI agents working side by side.
Yep. Yep. No, that makes sense. And I agree with you. Like, that's what I'm seeing. There's obviously a lot of talk about how AI will be used by big companies to reduce their workforce. But from a small company point of view, it actually gives you a chance to scale your workforce without hiring more people. And exactly as you've described, it probably wasn't possible in the past for a small business to have an internal BI analyst, an internal marketing copywriter, but they can build the team by scaling that way, but still have the human oversight. So that's sort of one mindset shift. What other mindset shifts do you think are important for people who are, trying to get their head around this new AI agentic hybrid workforce that you're talking about?
So another thing that I like to say is that naturally there are the boomers and the doomers in this environment. I would say that given that I've been in this environment for over 10 years now, I like to give also another bit of advice. Do not come in hyped and then out deflated. So the technology has its own limitations, and all technologies that I like to say sliced automation. AI does not replace people. To me, I like to see it as cognitive augmentation. Okay, you have more cognition at your disposal, which means that it can do useful work for you. But do not assume that that means that people can be completely taken out. When you go in, you still need oversight. You still need the human brain to actually point these agents in the right direction. Okay. Recently, for instance, we start calling prompt engineering, which was, I think, a very bad word, context engineering, which makes much more sense. So you need to really find, for SMBs again, enterprises again move very slowly, but surely when they start moving. When you employ people or when you want to bring in individuals in your business, these people need to understand how to leverage AI agents, even in their current form, which is limited. Because when the technology enhances, then these people will be extremely valuable for the business, because then you're going to have a 10x return when these capable individuals know how to provide the right context and the right instructions to the engineers. Again, always with that kind of cognitive amplification that I was talking about before. Yeah. That's one thing. Second, do not give up on the first roadblock, because I've seen this all the time. Like, people come in massively hyped by the influencer that they saw 30 seconds before. They give us a phone call and they say, wow, I need to automate my entire business through AI. We know already, we call that a difficult client. We internally call it a difficult client, because we know that the first thing that we need to do is to lower the expectations and get real, and then work towards automation. The path is not as simple as the influencers like you to think, but because we are not fundraising, we are actually paid if we deliver a good product, then we need to kind of set the expectations right. But there is a bit of work that needs to be done in that direction. But definitely, if I was an executive of a business that doesn't sell AI, I would say hire people with a very good understanding of how to set up agents, not talking to ChatGPT. I'm talking being able to manage context of these agents. That, I think, is a massive quality to find in the job market right now, because of the 10x return down the line. Yeah.
Yep. And that's sort of the role most of us in, senior roles we're playing in the future is we'll be managing teams of agents and people. So we need to be able to know how to, just as managing people is an important skill, managing these agents is part of the CV requirement now for those sort of roles as well, I guess. So yeah.
Yes.
It's a really interesting way to look at it, and it sort of gives people an idea of the workforce of the future.
Yeah.
Again, coming back to small businesses with Toothfairy, just to give us an idea of how accessible it is, what sort of price ranges are people looking at to implement agents in a small business using either one of those pre-built ones you've got, or perhaps building something custom? What are the sort of options available?
Yeah, so we offer 4 different tiers. So obviously there is one set that is starter and pro, which is for individuals. So essentially the replacement of ChatGPT and Claude, essentially, but private and with data sovereignty baked in, and obviously with features that we have inside the platform. Then for businesses or SMBs, generally they go with the 250 USD a month. And with that, you get access to unlimited agents, unlimited widgets, APIs, and all the bells and whistles of the platform. That is still a SaaS. So that means that it doesn't come with customizations, but at the same time, it's a subscription. So you can turn it on and then turn it off whenever you like. The business subscription is definitely the most common we have. And especially now that we have expanded in Europe and in the US, because we have the 3 different regions. Even when you sign up, you will see it. You can decide to put your data in one of those regions, because again, we are a private AI company. Essentially, we see the businesses adopt that first. And I say adopt that first because also we see that enterprises, so the enterprise tier, comes from business subscriptions that have been going for 3, 6 months, and then they decided to take the next step.
Yeah.
And the next step is that then you can customize further the platform. I'm not going to go into the details, but the key thing, which we talked about before, is customizing the AI models themselves. And that is one of the features that we enable only for enterprises because it's costly, but at the same time valuable. So that's why we needed to treat it that way. Definitely, I would say for a business, start with the business subscription, which is relatively cheap. You can turn it off whenever you like. So no questions asked. And then
Mhm.
once you're comfortable with the platform, then scale up
Scale up.
to
Yep.
enterprise. Yeah.
And what would a business need someone within the business sort of reasonably technical to sort of manage the implementation and the ongoing, we talked about having to tweak it and train it and improve it as you
Yeah.
go. So who would be the right person within a business to do that task in your
Yeah,
experience?
that's very, very interesting. I should have said that too. Absolutely, you must have one of these people in the business because, again, we don't come with pre-baked. We do come with pre-baked agents, knowing that anyway, everyone will down the line customize them because you need to put your own knowledge, your own context, your own instructions. So you need someone that goes in and tweaks it. That's very obvious. So we've seen, for example, digital leads for young people that have been playing with other platforms in the past that can groom themselves into this kind of agentic platform where they need to do the settings for the business. So even people that are familiar with automation, for example, we have seen that are fantastic candidates to then become the people that sets up these agents. But at the same time, you must have a person that is techie or tech savvy enough to learn at the very least the basics of how to configure an agent. Configuring an agent, by the way, is all natural text, so it's all plain English.
Yep.
However, that still requires a bit of trial and error troubleshooting. And we know that there are, some people that are a bit more capable than others within a business, which is perfectly fine. So if you have a digital lead or if you have a developer that knows how these platforms generally work, then that is a good candidate. But definitely a business needs that to be able to scale AI adoption in a meaningful fashion. We have actually seen relatively bad cases of customers just not having even one person knowing how to click a button.
Mm.
And in that case, I'm not going to lie, AI is not going to read your mind. And so you need someone that points these agents in the right direction. So that is invaluable. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you said that because I think we talked about some of the ways people try and fail. It's not just plug and play. You do need someone to own it. That could be someone in the business, as you say, or you could use a consultant, an outsourced person to do that, but they would then be the person getting to know the platform or platforms and tweaking them, and that's the way to get success, to have someone whose task it is within your
Yeah.
business to
And
oversee
to
it.
be fair, Scott, that's also another trend that we've noticed, which
Mm.
again leads back into the pricing structure and things like that. Like we have noticed that some customers, for example, because they don't have these people, are willing to go even at the early stages to the enterprise tier where we offer support. And then they use the support to discover with us what the use cases for AI which again suggested there is a gap in the market because naturally you would have a person that can kind of scope out what the agents
Mm.
should do, right?
Mm.
But yes, so what you're seeing is actually a gap. So it's a good time to become an AI consultant, if you will.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
many businesses have this problem.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. But that's the world we're in. Everything's evolving. We're all learning as we go. It sounds like we've picked up a few tips there in terms of future thinking. What a business will need. Like that's one role you talk about that they'll need. They'll need people who can manage agents. A CMO who has a virtual marketing team, and maybe a CFO who has a virtual finance team made up of agents.
correct.
What else do you see? And this is always dangerous predicting the future, but based on,
Mm.
where you're sitting and what you're seeing, what's a business going to look like a successful small, medium business 3 to 5 years from now? How's it going to look different from a traditional business?
I mean, one trend I would say that being capable of leveraging AI and as an employee, I would say, or as an individual, will be more and more valuable because despite the doomers, and I'm not a boomer either, I really sit in between. I can see the massive increment of capabilities of these models. I'm not saying in the last 3 months, like the influencers, the doomers influencers say. I see the increment in capability from 5 years ago when we started with QDA from OpenAI. Few people will know that till now. And the increase is significant. Even if we have 50% of these capability enhancements, I can see businesses leveraging more and more agents because agents can take more and more complex tasks. So to me, successful businesses are businesses that adopt AI carefully without hype now, preparing the foundations of knowledge, preparing the foundation of fine tuning, preparing the foundation of training data sets for the future that I wouldn't say might be coming, is coming already, but within limitations, needs to be controlled and needs to be targeted in the right direction. But I do not see a successful business not leveraging AI just because the other ones are going to be so much more efficient than the others that I don't see how they can be in the market. So to give you an example, it's easy to discuss about our customers and the way they use it. But internally, how many developers do you think we have? We have 3. And we have now a platform that is intercontinental because we are in 3 different regions. We have a CLI and SDK. How can we build all that just ourselves? It would be impossible. Even with capable developers, it would be impossible. But obviously, we augment what we produce through AI. And this is a kind of a signal or a beacon of what I see coming up in the future. So the fact that you still need capable people in your business, you do not hire just people not qualified for the job thinking that AI will take over. But if you hire capable people that know a bit about AI and they know how to use it, and they might use a platform like ourselves, then you see the cognitive
leverage.
augmentation for real.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You can leverage it. And that I see successful business flying. And quite frankly, I would like also to see a bit of a shuffle in the market in terms of how we see work. And this is something that I would pledge people to actually do, which is something that I do personally, to give back some of these productivity gains to people. Because that's another trend that I'm seeing, which I like to call out. Again, the unsuccessful businesses are going to be the ones that are going to be doing it only with the cost-saving objective in mind. There has been recently an MIT study that reported that 95% of the AI projects fail when deployed in production. The thing that because I read the report, few people know that from that report, it was also clear that the vast majority of these failed projects had the only objective of being a cost-cutting measure. 33% that was actually, of the 5%, the 33% successful was just cognitive augmentation, was just, a tool that people can use to do their jobs better. And that was successful. So that is definitely something that I would like to see. So without looking too much just at the short-term gain, improve the quality of the work for everybody. There is a lot to be gained for everybody. So I'd really like to see this as a productivity measure that goes back to people, maybe changing the way we work, reducing the number of hours. I don't see me working 8 hours a day, every single day for much longer, to be honest. I will need probably 4-6 hours of very good and focused work rather than 8-10 hours of, inefficient work. So that's what I would like to see from the market. No productivity gain we've ever got has really gone back to the employees. We've always worked the same way, right? It has always been from the Industrial Revolution, the exact same thing. But why does it have to be that way? That can change. And I hope that this is the leverage we use to change that too and give it back to people as well. So that's my thing.
No, I love it. That's a great philosophy. So, it's been a fascinating conversation. There's some really good sort of mindsets you're talking about there, like this idea that think of AI as augmenting your cognitive abilities. So not replacing humans, but enhancing humans, using it as a small business to scale your team, not reduce your team. Having realistic expectations. Thank you for being the voice of reason there. Don't get caught up in the hype and think these agents are just going to come in overnight and change your business. It's going to take time. You're going to need to grow your knowledge. You've still got time, but now is the time to start. And then, maybe give some of that extra productivity back to your staff and yourself in terms of, that's the dream, isn't it? If you can get more done in less time, then you should be using that time for something other than work, hopefully. So that's a great outcome as well. Thanks so
Yeah.
much, Gabrielle. Any final thoughts for business owners and leaders that you can leave us with? Got anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say that this is a small pitch about myself as well.
Yep.
So a book is coming out, a book
Okay.
that I'm writing. It's coming up in April. So please, if you want to talk to me about your business, about ideas and things like that, feel free to get in touch and, look out for my book, which is coming in April, in multiple languages as well. So I'd love to connect, and anyone interested, even if it's not about Toothfairy as a platform, but is interested in understanding how to move in this very complicated world, very happy to help and support businesses around Australia. So
Yeah.
I'd love to connect.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Gabrielle. I'd echo that. You're very much a thought leader, but very accessible. I know you are Italian, as you say. You're traveling around the world, so obviously wherever you are, people can reach you. But you're actually Melbourne-based, as am I.
That's
Right?
correct.
So,
That's correct.
Where's Toothfairy based?
Yeah, we're based in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Exhibition Street. So yes, that's where we are.
Fantastic. All right. And where's the best espresso in Melbourne, in your opinion, as an Italian?
Brunetti, actually. It's a very nice pasticceria in the center of Melbourne. So that's a very good place to have coffee.
Fantastic. Well, maybe I'll meet you there for coffee one day. And what I'll do, I'll put all your details in the show notes so people can get in touch with you. And they can get onto your website or on LinkedIn and find you there. And thank you so much for being a thought leader and for sharing knowledge, but also for being so accessible and for being a voice of reason, somewhere between the boomers and the doomers. That's a great practical place to be. So thank you for your time, Gabrielle.
Thank you so much for your time, and have a lovely day.
Thank you. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Gabrielle from toothfairyai.com. I'll put all of his contact information in the show notes if you want to get in touch with him, and definitely check out Toothfairy and some of the agents they're offering. It's pretty cool stuff. And that was really great to get a sort of glimpse into what a business of the future looks like. But as Gab said, don't get caught up in the hype, stay practical, have realistic expectations, but start thinking about and start experimenting now so that you're building the tools and the knowledge for this agentic future, which is coming for all of us. Thank you for joining me on this journey to learn more about AI. Until next week, I'm Scott Davison, and this is My Way or the AI Way.